Hello, guys. I'm Jonathan. I'm a college student and I love playing games. And my hope is to make a game, and I hope that you'll join me on that journey. So, without taking up too much of your time, let's just get into what I've got. So, let me show you what I have so far. I've got this very basic menu. I'm trying to build what's called a minimum viable product. So, it's basically the core gameplay that you can actually go in and play, and it's not complete, but I just want to get something that's playable, and then I can work on fleshing it out and making it look nice and giving it all the special effects and everything like that. So this is my main menu. You can move up and down using the arrow keys, and pressing the enter button will take you to this screen. So I've got a nice tile set in the middle. These are just placeholder tiles for the moment. I got them off of one of my friends. He does art. And then you have a text box down here. Yeah, my mouse isn't appearing on the screen, but you obviously can see the text box. And then the two black bars to either side. One of them is going to display the character stats. The other one's going to display the world stats. I just haven't programmed that yet. And then if you were to press the enter button again, which is kind of how you progress the screen, you can see that I darken out in the middle, and we have subject 05 disconnected. This is basically our dialogue screen. So on one side I can have the person that's talking, on the other side I can have the player character, or really whoever I need it to be. I just have to program that all. So we can see that we go through it, and I wish I hadn't made this as long as I did now. So then after the dialogue comes out, we just remove the fade, it goes back to normal. And then I have this. This is like our little option box. It looks terrible, but I'm going to fix that. But you can click a button, and now the character can control and they can just move. Very basic stuff. I've added, it's not really collision, but it's kind of collision. Um, so yeah, there's that. And then if you press the escape button, I have a nice little escape menu right here. There still is stuff to be done with it. It doesn't all work yet. So my first goal on this project, the goal that I'm going to try to work towards in today's video anyway, is to get the dialogue more fleshed out. I'm going to try to put placeholder images for where the two characters would be. For now, they're just going to be giant white squares because I don't have any actual character sprites, and I'd rather not pull any from the internet and risk copywriting. So I will just be putting some giant white squares there. And then I would like to put the mirror over to the left, about where this white flashing square is, which is supposed to represent the player. I'd like to stick the mirror there, which you're supposed to look at the mirror, and then that lets you choose how your character looks. Basically, it goes into your character creation menu. So I want to put the mirror down, and then I want to add a way to interact with the mirror. That's my goal. Due to the power of editing, the next sentence that I say does not make much sense, but basically I worked on making the white squares for a second, and then this happened. I've got to copy that code into my editor, that way I don't lose it, because knowing me, I would be the one to absolutely let this get destroyed. And then what I have to check is if they disappear, like if I remove them, or if they're still up, because I can't remember if I did that. So let's actually check it. Okay, so they do stay, which is not right. So now we have to remove them in our function, which is a really easy fix. I forgot to copy over our z-index on set. But there we go. There it is, completely fixed now. Now let's double check if it disappears, because that's kind of important. But basically those white boxes would be our character images, and they disappeared. So we're doing pretty good. And they come back for our next one, disappear again. Great, so now we have to add the mirror. Doing that's a little bit more difficult. Yeah, you know what, that's probably good enough for right now. I did a poor job of explaining this as I was doing it, so I'm going to try again. But the way that I drew the tiles makes it so that there is one layer that contains all the sprites that you see on the screen. It's got the background color, it's got the walls, and it has the player, and they're all drawn pretty much at the same time using the same function. Unfortunately, that's not very convenient for drawing a mirror, because that means that I have to edit the mirror onto one specific tile, and I would have to check whether the mirror goes on all the tiles by doing that normally. So my plan is to, instead of drawing the tiles as one layer, I will draw them as multiple layers. So the first layer will be the basic background color, which in this case is purple. And then the second layer will contain the walls of the room. The third layer would contain any furniture, including the mirror. And then the fourth layer would have the player on it. And I'd probably also put like door exits on that layer as well, but it really depends with how that ends up going. So then each layer, you would think, in theory, I could just copy the code that I've got already for my big layer and use it for each of the little layers and everything would be fine. But in practice, it actually didn't work that way, and it was extremely complicated to get working. It took me about an hour in total to get it going, but I did eventually get it done, and so this is what happened. Okay, so I think I got it working. Um, this is what the code looks like now. So all of this is what I used to have. I made some new functions, and hopefully it all works. We'll see. It could okay, it broke. I was gonna say it could really easily break. And honestly, that one is just my bad. That was me being a dummy. This should be images dot. So of course it broke. But luckily, this part's an easy fix. We'll see if it's still broken. That's disappointing. Well, guys, I'm amazed to say that it is working. I just had to do some minor fixes because I'm a dummy and I forgot how the eval function works. But it's here now, and believe it or not, the mirror lined up practically perfectly with that wall, which was much better than expected, seeing as how I just willy-nilly slapped it into his random place on the tile, but it fits practically perfectly with that wall seam. So that worked out really nice. So now what I need to do is I need to create a way to see if the player can collide with the mirror, because we obviously, like if I skip this forward, you're going to see a big problem, which is that, okay, apparently I can't move. All right, well, that's a big problem. That's what I call a very big problem. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that. I was going to show you that you couldn't actually, that you could walk into the mirror, but like, I couldn't move at all, so I couldn't walk into the mirror. What happened is this was actually a really silly mistake, but what happened is when I converted the one layer into the three layers, I had originally written code for the one layer where if the ID of the tile was 0, then you couldn't walk on it. Because the idea was that if I wrote that a tile was 0, that basically meant that it was thin air. You couldn't walk there because there was literally nothing there. But layer 2, which is what I was referencing with the 0, eventually came to only hold the walls, which means that everything inside of layer 2 is empty. It's all zeros. And because of that, the player literally could not move because the game thought that everything was air. So I had to write a fourth layer that told the player where they could move. It was a really easy fix, but it was so silly. Like I couldn't make up comedy like this if I tried. Just the timing of, oh, you're going to see a big error, and then the error was bigger than I thought it was actually going to be. Okay, the moment of truth. Does it work? Aha, there we go. So, and you can't walk into the mirror. You can still walk into the walls because I haven't programmed those yet, but you can't walk into the mirror. So that's great. So now what I have to do is I need to make a direction, like I need to be able to have the player face different directions, because obviously if the player walks up to the mirror like this, they're going to be facing forward because that was the last direction that they walked. So when they press the enter button, they shouldn't be interacting with the mirror, they should be interacting with the tile in front of them. So I need to figure out how to make the player face the direction. Alright, so I've got everything working. So if I come up to this wall and I go to this corner and I press the up button, you can see that I can easily swap which direction I'm facing without having to move. So that works. And then if I press the enter button facing the mirror, you can see in my console that the it works like statement goes up because I didn't actually program anything there. I just programmed a console.log. So you can see that it only works when facing the mirror. So that's exactly what I wanted it to do. And so I'm actually pretty happy with this. There are some minor tweaks that need to happen. For example, being able to turn without actually moving would be pretty nice just in the regular room. So I'm going to work on that eventually. And then I get to add more rooms, basically. I get to basically add more code. That's what happens. So yeah, this has been very useful. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you did like it, please make sure to like and subscribe and let me know what I can do differently. I'm still really new to doing these kinds of videos, and so your feedback is super duper valuable. If there's a part of the video that you didn't like, please let me know. And if there's something that you'd like to see me do more of or possibly add to the videos, also please let me know. And if you want, I can show you the full game's code, like not all the code. I won't show you all the code because I'd rather keep some of it a little bit private, but I can show you the inner workings of like how I'm doing loading the files and all this and that, and I wouldn't mind showing you guys that. So if you want to see that, also please let me know. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next one, and goodbye.